Yo, yo, yo. This week on the X Factor Sports Podcast, episode 99. All right. We're getting into the WNBA playoffs. Who's going to win the championship? I'm going to let y'all know who I think. The NFL week 1, we're going to break down all the games, give you some quick takes on what I think of what happened this past weekend. And also, I can't believe y'all let me forget to do this, but I got to tell y'all who I think's making the NFL playoffs this season. Keep it locked right here. Episode 99 of the X Factor Sports Podcast starts right now. Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight to the X Factor Sports Podcast. It's your boy Jay Mondane. We are at season 9, episode 3. Yes, the 99th episode of the X Factor Sports Podcast. You already know what's happening next week, but we got to get through tonight's show, which is a great one. Like I said, we're going to break down WNBA. We're going to break down NFL. Before we get into all that, we had some great stuff happen over the weekend, and you can always tune in to the X Factor Sports Podcast on YouTube every Wednesday night and anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it and get with the quick news. So we're going to start with over the weekend, the U.S. Open. We had Carlos Alcaraz get his revenge on Jannik Sinner, taking over the number 1 tennis player in the world rankings on the men's side, winning in 4 sets. Got his revenge on Sinner from Wimbledon in the summertime. So congrats to him. This is the new Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi. This is the new Djokovic and Rafi Nadal, the new Rafi Nadal, Roger Federer. All right, this is the new rivalry. I'm loving it. The generation of tennis has changed hands. Even though Novak Djokovic is still playing, he lost to he lost to Carlos Alcaraz in the semifinal. And it's kind of a changing of the guard. This is the way it goes. You know, the great tennis players from yesteryear start to dwindle, and then you get these young guys on the rise. Now you got Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz in their prime. You'll be seeing them for the next few years facing off in all these major finals. And Carlos Alcaraz got him this time at the U.S. Open. On the women's side, Arna Sabalenka is dominating all women. It would have been cool to see an American win on American soil, but Sabalenka's been world number 1 all year. She's been crushing all of these majors. Congrats to her. She wins another one in straight sets. And so that's your men's and tennis U.S. Open over the weekend. Also, some more greatness happened over the weekend in basketball. We had Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, Maya Moore, amongst others, get inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Sue Bird, I think, was a part of that class. The 2008 Redeem team, the U.S. Olympic team that went over to Beijing and got gold. Kobe Bryant was on that team. Jason Kidd, Dwight Howard. So Melo, LeBron, Chris Paul. Like, LeBron and Chris Paul are in the Hall of Fame for being a part of this '08 team, and they still playing in the NBA, which is crazy. Never happened before. Literal Hall of Famers playing basketball next season is pretty cool. But the reason I wanted to add this to quick news is because of Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony and Maya Moore. All right? I'm going to start with Maya Moore. One of the greatest women's basketball players to ever play. Won at every level. She's got 4 WNBA championships with the Lynx. She's got scoring titles, MVPs, finals MVPs, all the accolades you could ask for won national championships at UConn, won world championships overseas, won Olympic gold medals, got rings for Team USA. So she redid the Jordan picture where he's got the 6 rings like that. She's got like 12 or 13, right? She could have did the Bill Russell and still added one. So congrats to Maya Moore, much deserved. A revolutionary woman also for what she did off the court, helping inmates, prisoners that were innocent, proven innocent later. She was a big advocate for that. So congrats to Maya Moore for getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Dwight Howard, who should have been a top 75 player, still is one of the top 75 greatest players to play in the NBA. I think he should have got in over Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, just to name a few. Dwight Howard should have been a top 75 player. This dude is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He won 3 straight Defensive Player of the Years. He is still the all-time leading scorer, rebounder, shot blocker, highest field goal percentage in Orlando Magic franchise history. So for him to not be a top 75 player, number one, and hold all these records for an individual franchise is crazy. Number two, there ain't very many NBA players walking around with 1 Defensive Player of the Year, let alone 3 of them. So he's in such rarefied air with his stats. Carried a team to the NBA Finals, beat a prime LeBron in the playoffs, got past the big 3 Celtics. Honestly, I don't know if he even played the Celtics, but he was in the Eastern Conference during that time, during the downfall of the Detroit Pistons that won 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals in the mid to late 2000s. Dwight Howard and his young team, Stan Van Gundy, led them to a finals. The last finals appearance Orlando had. So congrats to Dwight, much deserved Hall of Famer. And then Carmelo Anthony, one of my favorite players to ever watch play, one of the greatest scorers to ever play, top 10 in scoring all time, points total, national champion at Syracuse. And he's a true definition of a great player. Of course, the narrative's going to be he's a great player that didn't win a championship. But against all odds, all the narratives that were against Carmelo Anthony, still one of the greatest players ever in my eyes. Olympic gold medals. When you think of Olympics, if you don't think of Carmelo Anthony, you may think of Kevin Durant now that he surpassed him in gold medals. But as many gold medals as Carmelo Anthony won and Team USA and how he's delivered championships and gold medals for us, I know it's not the same thing as an NBA championship, but it's still winning. So you can be a winner and not be an NBA champion, and that's Carmelo Anthony. So congrats to the Hall of Famers over the weekend. You know, I'm always excited for a basketball Hall of Famer who actually deserves to get in. So congrats to them. All right. Now, again, the X Factor Sports Podcast. We're always on YouTube every Wednesday night. You can like, share, subscribe, and follow the X Factor Sports Podcast. And anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can catch the X Factor Sports Podcast as well. Okay? So let's get into it. We're going to go ahead and get into the WNBA. The playoffs start this Sunday on the 14th. So we need to make sure we talk about this, and I'm going to let y'all know who I think is going to win the NBA or the WNBA championship. I'm going to just break it down now. I think as of Monday, we have the top 8 seeds. I know the LA Sparks and Seattle were kind of jockeying for that last spot. I think Seattle is going to get it. Regardless, neither one of these teams are winning the championship. So we can just go ahead and dive right into where we are in the WNBA. All right, so like I said, Sunday, September 14th is when it tips off. This is the first year the WNBA is going to have a 7-game series in the WNBA Finals. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. Again, the women have played more games this year. There has been an expansion team that will make the playoffs. Shout out to the Golden State Valkyrie. And that coach should get Coach of the Year for sure. So we got new things happening in the WNBA. I'm interested to see the stamina if these women can actually play, not if they can play, but how well they will play, getting deeper into the playoffs, get into a WNBA Finals and having to possibly get to a Game 7. After adding a few more regular season games on top of it, they're not used to it. Obviously, they're professional athletes, but it's something you got to get used to from a stamina and from an energy standpoint. So I'm anxious to see how this is going to look in the playoffs. However, I'm still going to let y'all know who I think is going to win. So the way they do the WNBA playoffs, they don't do it like the NBA. They don't do East versus West. Because there's only 14 teams in the league currently, they just pick the top 8 teams based off record. It doesn't matter what side of the map you're on. The top 8 teams make it to the playoffs. For example, the Minnesota Lynx are in the West. So are the Vegas Aces, and they're the number 1 and 2 seeds. They will be on opposite sides of the bracket. So what will happen is if the bracket is set up, if the playoffs started today, you would have the defending WNBA champion New York Liberty, actually the 5 seed, which means they're going to be on the same side as the number 1 seed Minnesota Lynx. And then you got Vegas at number 2 on the same side as Atlanta. Those are the teams that I feel like are going to make it to the conference final. They're the deepest teams. They've been the most consistent teams. Even though the New York Liberty is a 5 seed, they still are the defending champs. I think in a playoff setting, the matchups that they're going to get, they'll be able to win them. And I think they get to a semifinal against the Minnesota Lynx. Now, this is where I feel like the Minnesota Lynx get their revenge. They lost to them in the WNBA Finals last year. And I think the Lynx are a better team, a more hungry team. They got potentially this year's MVP on their team, Lafisha Collier. So give me the Minnesota Lynx going to the WNBA final and beating the New York Liberty in a semifinal matchup. They will have the home court. I got them winning that and getting to a final. And on the other side, the number 2 seed Vegas Aces, who actually, if you look at the power rankings, they're the number 1 team in the power rankings now, just because how they've been dominating since All-Star break. Another 10-game winning streak. Asia Wilson might end up getting MVP. I think she caught up with Fee for the Lynx. She might catch up to her and get more votes. She's the odds-on favorite to win the MVP again for the 4th time. So got to show love where it is due. So with the Aces and with Asia Wilson at the 2 seed, because they won't catch the Minnesota Lynx in record. The Minnesota Lynx ain't even lost 10 games yet. So, and the playoffs start in a couple days. So the Aces will be number 2, but I think their biggest matchup won't come until they run into the Atlanta Dream. Now, I think the Atlanta Dream take them 5 games. It will go to a Game 5 deciding game just because of how they match up. Even though the Aces have won, I think they won 3 out of 4 matchups this year. Won the last one, most recent. But the Atlanta Dream, they still got Brittany Griner. She doesn't score like she used to, but she's still the best rim protector in basketball. I think she averaged like 3 blocks a game. She still give you 10 rebounds. But they got a 2-headed monster as far as scores with Alicia Gray. She averages 18 a game, and then you got Ryan Howard who averages 18, right under 18 a game. So they have a dynamic duo scoring punch to go up against the Aces. But again, with Asia Wilson and crew, I like the way they look. I think they get pushed to 5, but then ultimately they go to the final against the Minnesota Lynx. And here, unfortunately, the Minnesota Lynx get back to a WNBA final, but I got to go with the Aces. I got to go with Asia Wilson. The defense has gotten better the second half of the season, and that is a testament to Becky Hammond. That's the way she coaches. She coaches hard. So I got the Vegas Aces beating the Minnesota Lynx, and I think it goes 7 games. So I got them winning a Game 7, the very first WNBA Finals Game 7. The Las Vegas Aces beat the Minnesota Lynx in 7 games. So y'all let me know what y'all think. For all my WNBA fans, the playoffs are starting. Even if you're a casual fan, this is the best time of year to lock in. Watch these women play. They play hard, and the games get a lot better come September, October. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Who do you have winning the WNBA championship this year? All right. So the X Factor Sports Podcast, again, you can catch us every Wednesday night on YouTube. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Get all 99 episodes so you can catch up, because we got a special one next week for y'all, a celebration. And then you can listen anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you can listen to podcasts. You can catch the X Factor Sports Podcast every week. Okay, so let's get to it. Everybody watched the games from last week, right? The NFL. We saw what happened. So what we're going to do is I'm going to break down each game and give a couple takes on what I think these teams are, what they look like, what they gave us, what they showed us this past weekend. I know it's week 1, but there are some things that I saw from these teams that I think will be key indicators moving forward in the season, right? So we're going to break down every game. Starting with the Thursday night game, Dallas and Philly. Okay, that game started with Dak getting spit on, to rain delays, to everybody basically sleepwalking in the second half. But the one thing I took from that game is Jalen Hurts. All right, no matter what the circumstance is, this dude finds a way to win football games. It's not pretty. He don't have to throw for a whole bunch of yards. It's just when it comes to situational football, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. And you can go back to his track record and see, even when he was a rookie, to winning Super Bowls, to winning playoff games, critical moments in games, he's always the calmest guy on the field. He always knows what to do. He makes the right plays, and he always finds ways to win. So while everybody else is playing the game, Jalen Hurts is finding ways to win games. And that was just another example of it Thursday night. That could have been an easy game. They could have just laid an egg, rolled over, weather bad. It was ring ceremony night. Most teams don't win those games anyway. They just there to have a culmination of last season. Jalen Hurts figures it out. He knows how important divisional games are. And he knows how important it is to set the tone against the Dallas Cowboys. So shout out to Philly and Jalen Hurts. That's what I saw from that game. This guy learns, and he's learned, and he knows how to win no matter what. In the Friday game, Chargers and Chiefs, they were in Brazil. I had people over at the crib watching the game. As you can imagine, most of them were Chiefs fans, and they weren't happy. So I'm going back and forth from room to room watching the game, hosting whatever. And people asking me, what you think of the game, man? What you think? I'm like, look, the Chiefs ain't playing good, okay? It's very simple. So a lot of my friends here in KC don't have a lot of objectivity. So, and I tend to have it even with my team, even with the Bears, and we're going to get to that game too. But it's really simple, man. If you just kind of take the bias away, they didn't play good. And what I got from that game is the Chiefs look like a team that did not play in the preseason at all. The way they played that game, the defense wasn't connected. There was no continuity. You had Patrick Mahomes just come out in the second half and just say, forget it. I'm going to generate something. I'm going to generate some points, some energy. Like he was literally taking it upon himself to get the Chiefs back in the game. Now, what does this mean for them when they lose the game? It's exactly what I just alluded to. What the Chiefs looked like in that game on Friday, they looked like a team that hadn't played since the Super Bowl. Simple as that, right? I know they got a lot of veterans on their team. A lot of people that are smarter than me may say they don't need to play in preseason games. They just need to get ready to play week one. That looked like a team that needed to play in the preseason, right? You got Chris Jones arguing with Drew Tranquil at the end of the game. They blaming each other. Players missing assignments. Kelsey running into Xavier Worthy, and he's injured now. Like, it just looked like a team that just met up at the stadium and said, all right, y'all, let's play a football game. On the flip side, which is where the Chiefs need to be worried in this division this year, the Chargers look like a team that looked like they saw the schedule and knew they had the Chiefs week one, and they came ready to play. So congrats to Jim Harbaugh for having his team prepared to play all the way down in South America. And Andy Reid did not have his team ready to play. It's simple as that. You can say he got out coached. You can say his players weren't prepared. All that revolves around coaching, right? So the Chargers were motivated. Again, I'm sure they circled it on their calendar. I'm sure everybody has the Chiefs circled on their calendar over the last 5-6 years because they're the marquee team. But it may be a sign of things to come. I'm not saying the Chiefs won't make the playoffs. But what I'm saying is teams see the chink in the armor. They saw what happened to them in the Super Bowl. It's a competitive, cutthroat league. Teams want to end this dynasty. And the Chargers got off to a good start. So that's what I saw in that game. The Chargers look like they've been ready to play since the schedule came out in July. The Chiefs look like they ain't played since February. And the results were what you saw on Friday. All right. Now the Sunday games. All right, we're going to run through all these like I told y'all. Bucks, Falcons. Okay. What I saw in that game, it was a great game. The Falcons look like a team that has improved. Michael Penix looks more comfortable. They look like they're going to compete in some games. On the other side, you can tell the Tampa Bay Buccaneers believe in Baker Mayfield. Just that simple. There's no panic. Even when they're losing games, Michael Penix made a great play, reached in for the goal line, scored a touchdown. There was no panic on the sideline for the Tampa Bay Bucks. They said, we got Baker. He marches them down the field. They win the game. So that's a testament to him, the way his career started to where he is now, to have a team that believes in him, and he goes out and proves them right. Congrats to him. But that's what I got from that game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers believe in Baker Mayfield. All right. The Bengals and Browns game. Again, another divisional game. To be honest, I'm going to tell you one or two things I saw. Either the Browns are just not good, or the Bengals defense is actually going to be better this year than it was last year. I mean, it's hard to get any worse, but they looked good. They looked inspired. I think they've been hearing over the years, and Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow specifically, he didn't have a great game. Neither did Jamar Chase. So it was a good team win, divisional win, 17-16. But I feel like that was a very interesting win for the Cincinnati Bengals. Because if you think how everybody was talking in the offseason, that the Bengals are going to have to score 30 points against everybody to win games. The fact that they won a game scoring 16 or scoring 17 points and only giving up 16 says something to me about this Bengals team. And they got a win in September. When's the last time they did that? So that's what I saw in that game. The Bengals actually won a nasty game, and they didn't even score a bunch of points. Joe Burrow didn't play great. The defense had his back for once. And then the Browns are going to be the Browns. Simple as that. Myles Garrett is going to do his thing, but the Browns will have to beat teams that make mistakes or have young quarterbacks. That's the only way they'll win games. What we got next? Colts, Dolphins. Okay. I was surprised in this game, not because the Dolphins got beat, but because of the Colts beating them. The team that beat them. Daniel Jones, was this Daniel Jones' coming out party? Like, has he found somebody that's got confidence in him? Because he looked great. All right. He shredded the Dolphins defense. So I don't know if that's a sign of things to come where we'll look up in week 8 and be like, yeah, the Dolphins defense was trash. That's why Daniel Jones lit them up. Or is this Indianapolis Colts team actually good? They have weapons. Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor. They got a great offensive line. The defensive line is underrated. So they can actually do some damage in the AFC South. I like what I saw from the Colts. If Daniel Jones can continue to play like that, the Colts can sneak up on some teams. They can be the Washington Commanders of this year, maybe. There's always one team. On the Dolphins side, the bloom is off the rose for Mike McDaniel. Simple as that, right? The Wonder Kid, whatever y'all want to call him, the quarterback whisperer, all that is dead now. I think this team plummets real bad. Tyreek Hill can't get out of trouble. He already was complaining on the sideline in week 1 in the first half. So you saw video of them in training camp. They doing backflips, enjoying being outside. They didn't look ready to play, and they got smacked. So, which potentially could be a team we come week 17, week 18, they might be trying to jockey for a playoff spot, but they lost the head-to-head. So that's why these games matter. Even though it's week 1, there's only 17 games, especially when you lose to a team in the same conference. So what I saw from this game is the Colts look improved. Daniel Jones looks confident, and I think the Dolphins are done. Whatever playoff window or whatever feelings we had about the Dolphins being good, I think those are out the window. All right. I think Jalen Ramsey left at the right time. The Raiders and the Patriots. I was surprised. I'm in a confidence pool every week. I actually picked the Patriots to win. They were at home. I wasn't sure what Geno Smith was going to do in his first start with the Raiders, but obviously he's comfortable with his coach. So he went crazy, threw for over 350 yards. Geno Smith balled out. So obviously Pete Carroll brought him over for a reason, and he proved him right. So that was a huge win. Going across country, playing early, and getting a win. That's why I picked the Patriots. Any of those West Coast teams that come to the East Coast, they're on different time zones. I always feel like they're just not as comfortable playing, but obviously the Raiders came ready to play. So congrats to them. I think Geno played well. If he could continue to play this way, they can get some big wins and at least be in the hunt till Thanksgiving. So we'll see what happens with them. Cardinals at Saints. Okay, these are two bad teams. The Cardinals will be better this year, but they're not going to vie for any playoff berths. Neither are the Saints. I think the Saints are going to be terrible. So a loss at home. I think they got some good weapons. Chris Olave. They got some guys. Alvin Kamara is still good. I don't know how I feel about Spencer Rattler winning a bunch of games for them. So the Cardinals got a win that they should have got. They went on the road, got the win. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. I think this will be his coming out year. From all the criticism he got last year, rumors that he wasn't playing hard. I think he comes ready to play. I think he showed y'all on Sunday that he's going to have a big season. I think he's going to have a big year. So that's what I saw with Arizona. Steelers and Jets. All right, this was the best game of the weekend until Sunday night, right? The Jets at Steelers. So we got two quarterbacks that swapped with Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields. What I saw in this game is Justin Fields can play. All right. He showed he's growing up. He made smart plays down the field. He kept his head up, his eyes down the field, made some clutch throws, had a huge touchdown throw to his boy Garrett Wilson. What I saw from the Jets is the Jets will lose games, but it will not be because of Justin Fields. If he's playing like this, it ain't going to be because of him. So if the defense is as good as people have been saying over the last couple of years, Justin Fields will win them some games for sure. It was exciting to see him play well. I always liked Justin Fields. Didn't get a fair shake in Chicago. I'm glad it looks like he found a home. They believe in him. He's playing with his guy, Garrett Wilson. So hopefully they can rack up some wins in the AFC. For the Steelers, again, Aaron Rodgers is juiced up, goes back to New York. I'm sure he wanted that win. He had it circled. But everybody's going to talk about, oh, Aaron Rodgers had this great game, 4-touchdown game. Again, I have objectivity. So, it was a great game. It was also a game in September. Okay? So, let me see what Aaron Rodgers looks like around Halloween when we got 4, 5, 6 games under his belt. He's been sacked a few times, right? He's been hit, knocked down. He starts getting tired. He's still a 41-year-old quarterback. So every 41-year-old quarterback looked good in week 1. If you don't believe me, go back and look at Drew Brees, his last season. Go back and look at Peyton Manning, his last season. They all was fresh in September. But when we get into week 5, week 6, that's when I want to see what the real Aaron Rodgers looks like. Because it was the same thing last year, right? He looked fresh in the beginning. So I want to see what we get in a couple months. All right. The Commanders at Giants. Again, divisional opponent. I'm going to be quick with this. The Giants aren't going to be good. Brian Daboll's in a hot seat. And I feel like in the next 2 weeks, they're going to be calling for Jackson Dart. If and when Jackson Dart gets in the game, Brian Daboll is done, right? The whole purpose of them getting Russell Wilson was to save his job because they need to win now while he's in a hot seat. You can't be in win now mode and start a rookie quarterback that's not ready to play because the growing pains alone, he's going to get 2-3 losses early. And when you got an impatient ownership group, you have to start the veterans first. So they tried that. Wasn't good. Malik Neighbors is pissed off already. So the hot seat and the clock is ticking for Brian Daboll and the New York Giants until Jackson Dart comes in. On the other side, the Commanders won a game they should have won. I like the addition of Deebo Samuel. If he can stay healthy, maybe it's the trainers in San Francisco because all of them starting to get hurt again, and Deebo's fine on the East Coast. So we'll see what the Commanders do. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year record-wise. I don't think they're going to an NFC Championship game again. If they prove me wrong, I'll come on here and say they proved me wrong. I just don't think it's happening. But I think they will compete and play well this year. Will they make the playoffs? We'll see. But that's what I got out of that game. Panthers, Jags. Again, 2 bad teams not going anywhere. Jacksonville won a game that they should have won. They were at home. They have the better quarterback. They have the better roster. So even though it's Liam Cohen's first game coaching, I just like seeing Travis Etienne. I thought he was going to lose his job after last year. He showed up and showed out. And then for the Panthers, they're just a bad football team. They just don't have a good enough roster. The offense is very young. The offensive line is bad. I hope that Bryce Young doesn't get hurt. And every year there's a team that's like that that's just bad. Unfortunately, it's been Carolina the last few years. And I don't think anything changes this year. All right. What else we got? Titans at Denver. I like Cam Ward. He's just young. He played against arguably the best defense in the league his first game. So kind of walked into a buzzsaw defensively. The game, they didn't score a lot of points, but I think Denver will be one of the best defensive teams in football. And they got PS2, the Defensive Player of the Year, Patrick Surtain. So it was what I expected, the Broncos to win that game. But on their offensive side, the defense is going to have to carry the day. I don't think Bo Nix is going to have as good of a year as he had last year. I think the tape is out on him. He plays in a tough division. Arguably the 4 best coaches in football are in the same division with him. You got to deal with Andy Reid twice. You got to deal with Pete Carroll twice. You got to deal with Jim Harbaugh twice, right? 3 coaches that prepare very well for their opponents, and they have a pretty decent schedule in terms of wins and losses from last year. So I'm anxious to see what Bo Nix does. His schedule is going to be harder than it was last year because they were better. So I see a little bit of a decline. almost like a CJ Stroud type of sophomore year, not necessarily a complete slump, but a dip from the numbers from his rookie year. 49ers and Seahawks, again, another divisional game, week 1. The 49ers needed that win because now everybody's going to the infirmary for them. George Kittle is on IR, hamstring, soft tissue injuries. Again, when you don't play in the preseason, it's hard to go out and go 100% for 60 plays when you haven't gone hard for 60 plays in 9 months, right? Simple as that. So George Kittle is out. Brock Purdy got a hurt shoulder and bruised toe or something like that. Like, he's got a couple injuries. He's already nicked up, questionable for next week. So that's what I got out of that game. It was a gritty win. They had to get one. But if they can't stay healthy, I don't see the 49ers, even with this easy schedule that they have, I don't see them going very far this year either. Seahawks, again, we're about to find out what Sam Darnold is. He got his chance in Minnesota. They didn't want to pay him. Maybe they saw something that the Seahawks didn't. So we're going to find out how good Sam Darnold really is, if he could carry a team with not as many weapons without a Justin Jefferson. Lions-Packers. This was a great game also. What I got out of this game is the Packers have a really good defense. And oh, by the way, they added Micah Parsons. That's what I got out of this game. And any time in history, at least in my lifetime, when the Packers have a good defense, you can book them for 13 wins, right? They're going to be really good this year. I think they win the North this year, as much as I hate to say it. I think they're the best team in our division. So as long as Jordan Love can stay healthy, they got a great offense. They got a lot of great young athletic receivers. And then they actually have a defense that plays well, and they showed it against the Lions. What I saw from the Lions is a team that lost their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in the offseason. That's what they look like. They didn't look prepared to play. It wasn't no more of these trick plays. We're about to see Dan Campbell is a motivational coach, not an X's and O's coach. So that's unfortunate. But I think the Lions take a very, very big dip this year. They will not win 14 games. I'm not even so sure they make it in the postseason, but we'll see. But that's what I got out of that game. Texans at Rams. Again, Texans won't be good. I don't know if they got the offense this year. Nick Chubb, if he's 100%, maybe they can get it back. I don't know what you get from Stroud. They did play against a really good defense in the Rams. Their Rams defense was good and young last year. The one team that actually scared the Eagles in the playoffs. Now they got Devontae Adams. Puka Nacua has showed up as a number one guy. So the Rams will be good this year as long as they stay healthy. The Texans, they got to worry about a team in their division this year. So we'll see what happens there. What else we got? 2 more games. We got Bills and Ravens. This was the game of the night, obviously. Or the game of the weekend, I should say. With the Ravens losing that game, and most people are going to blame Derrick Henry for the loss. I'm not blaming Derrick Henry for that loss, okay? Yes, he fumbled. They still had to lead when he fumbled. The Bills went down and scored. The Ravens got the ball back. And then what happened was you get a 4th and 3, almost at midfield, and John Harbaugh chooses to send the punt team out. You mean to tell me you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and you don't trust them to get 3 yards to push this game forward? You trust the defense that Josh Allen's been shredding this second half to go out there and try to get a stop on the road again, as tired as they are? So this is a culmination of the reason why the Baltimore Ravens will not win a Super Bowl. All right, you heard it here first. The reason they won't win a Super Bowl is because John Harbaugh since he's been coaching, since 1991, even before he coached, he has the most losses of any coach when they've had a double-digit lead in the game. He's lost 17 games when he's had double digits. And it's because of situations like that. You have arguably the greatest running quarterback ever and arguably one of the greatest running backs ever on the same team in a game that's getting out of control, that you need to take control back of against a team that beat you in the divisional round last year. And instead of trusting this offense that put up 40 points, you send the punt team out and send your defense out who gave up 41 points to try to defend Josh Allen at home when he's hot. It's just a bad move. There's no excuse for that. Yes, Derrick Henry fumbled, but they still got the ball back with an opportunity to win the game. And the coach made the decision to take the ball out of their hands because he panicked. Simple as that. So that's what I saw from that game. Of course, the Ravens will make the playoffs. Of course, the Bills will make the playoffs. Josh Allen is great. Lamar Jackson is great. But you're not even giving your great quarterback a chance to go win the game. So that's the difference between a special teams head coach and his brother, Jim Harbaugh, an offensive head coach, a former quarterback. I was talking about this with the fellas at Bogies. That's where they separate it for me as far as coaches. In the last 4 minutes of a game, you could just look at their records and see situational football between Jim and John Harbaugh. The offensive guy who was a quarterback who understands where we are in the game situationally in 4 minutes, and a special teams guy. Because that's what John Harbaugh was before he's a head coach. Give it to my punt team. And that's the difference. Then the Monday night game, of course, Vikings and Bears. The Bears look good in the beginning. They look like typical Bears, honestly. Matt Eberflus could have coached this game and got the same result, right? And this is why I say that. We had more first downs. We had more time of possession. We had more total yards. And our offense still couldn't generate points when we needed it most. Sound familiar? The pick six made us excited, but that's our defense. Sound familiar? We're still not finding a way to generate offense consistently, right? We'll have 2 or 3 drives where we look good, and then we go 4 or 5 drives in a row empty. I don't know if we converted a third down in the second half, right? Looks like last year when we had that 10-game losing streak, the Bears, not converting on third downs, a bunch of 3-and-outs, sending our defense back out there, tired as hell because they just got to stop. Now they only get to sit for a minute and a half because we did 3 straight plays that were incomplete. Now, the silver lining is this. It was week 1, Ben Johnson's first head coaching game. As an offensive guy, you would expect him to watch the film and correct the mistakes. So I wasn't happy that we lost the game, but I want to see how we respond next week, or this week, I should say. It's against his old team. It's against the Lions. They just got beat. They're wounded. They probably want this game just as bad as we want it. So it'll probably be a really good game. But I want to see how the Bears respond. I want to see how Eric Bieniemy watches film. I want to see how Ben Johnson watches film and makes the adjustments. I want to see what they do with Caleb Williams next week and the offense. Can Cole Kmet get more than one miraculous catch? Can Colston Loveland get in the offense? I like that they use DeAndre Swift. I like how they're moving around DJ Moore. But can it generate points? We were watching the game yesterday, the Bears crew. And one of the guys was like, they should have kicked the field goal instead of going for it. I'm not upset that they went for it. I want them to be aggressive and generate points. I need to see that. I need to see them start playing to win instead of playing not to lose. So that's what I got out of the Monday night game. Same old Bears, but hopefully Ben Johnson can see it on film better than a defensive head coach and make the adjustment. So that's what I got for all the games this week. Appreciate y'all riding out with me on that. But I had to dive through all of them because I wanted to let y'all know how I felt about the games. I always got to give my unbiased, real talk, unbiased take on them and dive into that because we're about to segue into the last segment before the 2-minute warning, and it's these playoffs. All right, I'm going to tell y'all who I think is going to make the NFL playoffs this season and why. Okay, so let's get into that. Now, this ain't based off of what we saw this week. I usually do this before the season starts. I usually give y'all my predictions, but I didn't last week, so I got to give it to y'all this week. So I'm going to run through the NFC. I think the Green Bay Packers will be the number 1 seed, right? I like the way that team looks. Again, a team with defense, if Jordan Love stays healthy. Obviously, all this is barring injury, but I like the way the Green Bay Packers look. I think they are the only team in the NFC that can threaten the Philadelphia Eagles. And honestly, I don't think the Eagles care to get the 1 seed. They could get it, but I feel like they're in a more competitive division than the Packers are this season. They got a rookie quarterback to deal with, a rookie head coach to deal with, and then a team that lost both of their offensive and defensive coordinators. So I feel like they got the upper hand. Give me the Packers to win or be the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Cowboys will make the playoffs, right? As much as people like to bag on the Cowboys, they still make the playoffs every year. Are they going to win in the playoffs? No. But they'll still win 12 games. Like, that's what Dak's good for. Tony Romo was good for going 8-8. Him and Jason Garrett. Dak is good for giving you 12 wins and losing in the wild card. So the same thing is going to happen this year. Cowboys will get in the playoffs, and it won't be by virtue because they're better this year. It'll be because teams got worse, right? I don't think the Lions will be that good this year. I don't think the Vikings will make the playoffs this year. The 49ers, if they can't stay healthy. So by virtue of teams just falling off, the Cowboys get in. The Washington Commanders get in. So we'll get 3 teams from that division that get in. The Eagles will get in as well. The Eagles will win the division. But I think the Commanders get in. They got in as a 6 seed last year, 6 or 5. Correct me if I'm wrong. It made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. I think with the new addition of Deebo Samuel, some veterans on defense, Jaden Daniels having 1 year under his belt, a little bit more experience. I think they win some good games and they get in too. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they will win the South again. Baker Mayfield will lead this team to a playoff. I think they actually get to the divisional round. I think the Bucs can actually get a playoff win as well. The LA Rams, I think the Rams will win this division. I thought the 49ers will win it, but they can't stay healthy. So I think the Rams win this division again. I don't see Seattle putting up much of a fight. I think Arizona is better this year, but they won't put up a fight to win a division. And then the Detroit Lions will squeak in, again, just by virtue of the Vikings falling off. They're not going to win 14 games this year. Vikings may win 8 games, 7 games. So the Lions will squeak in. 49ers will be hurt. The rest of the NFC ain't good enough yet. The Falcons aren't good enough. The Bears aren't good enough yet. So the Detroit Lions get in. All right? So that's the NFC. I got Green Bay, Dallas, Washington, Philly, Tampa Bay, the Rams, and the Detroit Lions making the playoffs. In the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs will get in the playoffs. Now, they are going to get threatened to win the AFC West this year, believe it or not. Because I don't know. It's like this. Teams that play all the way into February, year after year after year, it's like basketball. Teams that go to the finals and play into June, year after year after year, they wear down at some point, right? I don't think the Chiefs are going to be bad this year. I don't think they're going to be as good. They definitely ain't going to win 15 games, right? So they'll get in the playoffs. They'll be a wild card. But I honestly think this is the year the Chargers win. I think this is the year for the Chargers to finally take over and oversee the AFC West. So the Chiefs make the playoffs, the Chargers make the playoffs, and they win the West. The Baltimore Ravens, of course, will make the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills will make the playoffs. So those are 4. The Houston Texans will squeak into the playoffs, barely, but they do not win a division. I think the Indianapolis Colts actually win the AFC South this year. I like the way they look. I like the way Daniel Jones is going to play, right? He might have closed the door on Anthony Richardson. He might have to find somewhere else to play if Daniel Jones keeps playing the way he played. That defense is underrated. The offense is underrated as well. Like I said, Jonathan Taylor's healthy. Michael Pittman, I like him at wide receiver. They look good. They got a great offensive line. I think they can put some things together and actually win some games. Their schedule is going to be weak because they were bad last year. They could be a team that takes advantage of a bad schedule and make the playoffs. So I got them winning that division. Houston squeaks in, though, as well. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, right? The 2 teams that fall off, I think the Denver Broncos, I don't think they make the playoffs. So it'll probably be neck and neck between them and Houston, fighting for a 7 seed. But I feel like with their schedule, I'm going with the Houston Texans to take that 7th spot. The Steelers don't make the playoffs this year. I think they get replaced by their division rival, Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals make it back to the playoffs this year. I think they have something to prove. Coming in, ready to play in September. Joe Burrow has a full training camp. He's healthy. I think they show up and show out. Again, the Ravens win that division, but the Cincinnati Bengals make the playoffs. So that's where we're at. In the AFC, I got the Chiefs making the playoffs, the Ravens, the Bills, the Chargers, the Houston Texans, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Indianapolis Colts making the playoffs. All right. So y'all comment below. Let me know what you think. Did I get it? Am I going to get it right? Am I missing a team? Am I sleeping on the Broncos? Are the Steelers going to actually make the playoffs? Y'all let me know what y'all think. All right. The X Factor Sports Podcast. Catch us every Wednesday night on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, follow, and always watch on YouTube. That's where we get the views. That's where we get the subscribers. That's where we will eventually get monetized, is the watch hours on YouTube. So be sure to check us out there. And then anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can always check the X Factor Sports Podcast out. All right. Before we get up out of here, we're going to hit y'all with the 2-minute warning. And this 2-minute warning is a quote, actually. It's a quote from Steve Jobs. The quote says, if you're working on something that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. Okay? I saw that the other day. Excuse me. I saw that the other day, and it made me think about what I'm doing right now. Honestly, this podcast. If you're working on something you really care about, which is what I am doing now, I don't have to worry about being motivated. I don't have to worry about being pushed because this is something I enjoy. And so the vision and my goals are going to pull me to continue doing this, right? And that goes for anything that you got going on. If you're passionate about something and you are excited about doing it and you have goals for it, that passion alone should be the motivation, right? You shouldn't feel like it's a chore, right? There's the old adage, the old saying that, find something that you love to do and get paid for it. It doesn't feel like work. I assume that's what I'm getting from Steve Jobs' quote, right? Find something you love to do, find something you enjoy, and it won't feel like work. You won't feel like you're being pulled towards it or being pushed to do it. Your vision alone and your excitement is what's going to pull you forward and keep you excited about doing that thing. So take that with y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to the X Factor Sports Podcast. This was episode 99. Again, we got the gear, so you can click the QR code or you just hit me up directly on any social media platform. Let me know your size and your color. We'll get that ordered for you. Next week is here, y'all. The 100th anniversary celebration is here. I'm super excited. I hope y'all are excited for it. The 100th anniversary celebration. We are going to be at Bogey's Whitney City Pub in Leawood, Kansas. I will be there at 6:30. We're going to be taking pictures. We're going to be hanging out with guests. We got a raffle that we're going to do. Bogey's is getting us food. They got swag that they're going to be giving out, shirts, all types of different things for Bogey's Pub. So be sure to get there early so you can get a seat. I'm going to have shirts and hats, hoodies are going to be out for trivia questions, prizes for participation. So be sure to come to Bogey's Pub and help me celebrate my 100th episode next week, September 17th. All right. Again, appreciate y'all for tuning into the X Factor Sports Podcast. Again, you can get your gear online or directly from me. Episode 99. This is season 9, episode 3. I want to thank y'all, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Get these subscriptions up to 10K this season. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is Jay Mundane. I will see y'all next week live in front of a live audience for episode 100. Peace.